Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and I'm joined with Brian from Stage Zero. How you doing, Brian?
Totally the first take. This
It sure
is
is.
the yes. Hi, I'm doing pretty good. Just a little tired. Just
Yes.
finished top 32, 10 rounds of Swiss, a lot of stuff, etc., etc.
Yeah, and while we still had everything set up, I wanted to just do a quick video going over the top 32 deck list. So forgive us for being maybe a little bit tired and maybe a little bit rambly on this, but we want to get this out for you guys as quick as possible. So that's what we're going to do on this one.
Yes, and yeah, we literally just finished top 32,
Yeah, we
maybe
did.
less than an hour
We're
ago.
still in the same venue until they kick us out.
Yes, eventually, I'm sure. But we did have our champion, Piyapat, and Piyapat. Hopefully, I'm
Piyapat, yep.
saying
Piyapat, yep.
Hopefully, I'm saying it correctly. With Sakazuki, with our runner-up, Red Purple Law.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to go over the top placing deck list for each leader real quick, but I do just want to mention, again, thank you so much to Core TCG for letting us do this event. Super fun. If you guys want to check out the live stream, they are linked in the description for both day 1 and day 2. It was over 1,000 players, 10 rounds of Swiss on day 1 into a top 32 day 2. Streams link there as well, and just a really fun event. Really, really good time.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, a lot of decent variety. Obviously, Sakazuki is getting his Feral Swan Song. That's what
Yeah,
they call
yeah,
it, right?
tour. Yeah, I would say.
In these last few weeks, and we have a couple more events, but it's gonna be pretty cool. But this one in particular, again, decent amount of variety and a lot of really, really good matches.
Yep, yep. So into this, we did have 14 Sakazuki, 5 Gecko Moria, 3 Enel, 3 Star Deck 10 Law, 2 Edward.Newgate, 2 Luffy Star Deck 13, and then singletons of Star Deck 10 Luffy, Perona, as well as Purple Yellow Crocodile.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
We did get to see a couple of different matches from Purple Yellow Crocodile, and my man was ecstatic to even be in the top
Yeah,
32.
I
So
think a lot of people were. So shoutouts to Joel as well. We'll go over his list in a moment, but again, we're going to go over the top placing list for each one of these leaders, starting off with our first place list, which is Piyapat's version of Sakazuki.
yeah, let's take a look at that real quick if I can actually. There you go.
There it
So,
is.
hey, Sakazuki.
Yeah. Hey, I can't say much. It is Sakazuki.
Yes.
We do have the new techs of T-Bone. I think Brook actually itself is just a real good tech for this deck this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see how it was utilized. You know, a lot of times when you add text into like a known deck, people end up either saying something about it or being like, well, it did do X and Y, which ended up helping, but you know, over time and in consistent ways, especially in 10 rounds in top 32, that didn't actually help you. And I think with Brook specifically because of stuff like Rebecca,
Yeah.
it actually did help.
Yeah, I think it's a really good tool with Rebecca for like if you have like some medium-sized removal if needed. Additionally, I think kind of what you're saying, some people add new cards just because they're new cards, and
Yeah.
I think some people weren't convinced on Brook, but after seeing it this weekend, they're just it's like a toolbox card in a lot of
Right.
ways, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not Navy. If it was a Navy, I think everyone would add it immediately.
Yeah.
But it gets rid of 1s and 2 drops really consistently. It gets some really good kind of squeaking in advantage and kind of obnoxious too.
Yeah, totally. And you know, it's interesting now that we're kind of looking at the deck lists. The ratios are interesting. Like one Helmeppo, one Ama, and I think that this is just like a super big emphasis on these 2 costs and just you know a little bit more counter.
Yeah.
And of course the Borsalino, which I talked about on stream, don't really see that too often
No.
or being played, especially with a lot of different decks are out there right now. Just has answers to it, Maru and Red Purple Law, that type of thing. Which if you saw the finals, I guess sometimes it's just not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, yeah, and Borsalino though, yeah, did put in some work as well. I think worth the 2 spots, and yeah, when we're adding these tag cards, we have to be less and less consistent on everything else. We're not playing the stage build for this one,
Yeah.
but also we're playing only 4 eruptions and 2 Ice Age, which is a little bit low compared to what I've seen otherwise.
Again, I think it's just one of those things of like having an emphasis on again counter power and the things that you care about. So
Yeah.
like the Rob Lucci combo with Rebecca and as well as Gecko Moria, which is of course at 8 or at 4 as an 8 cost, and the T-Bone being at 4 now because it is something you can get back from Rebecca and etc. etc. It's also just searchable.
Yes, for sure. So this is a list. Sakazuki's got like 2 more weeks, 2 more events or so. But if you want one, I think this is a really good build. And congrats again to Piyapat for their finish with this one.
Yeah, shout out to him. And I know we mentioned Red Purple Law. This was our runner-up with Justin.
Yep.
And man, look at this list. It's Red Purple Law, sure, but we do have a couple of different things, like the Fire Fist and No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah, some kind of text that I've noticed from the last couple weeks. One, we do run 2 copies of Fire Fist, which is why we're only playing, I think, 6 copies between Gordon and Raisemax. Definitely, there are matches where they did not see either card, right?
Yeah.
But there have been matches this weekend where red purple law players only see those cards, right? So
Yes.
it's a little back and forth, but this is pretty good. Also, like if this activates in life, it can be like a 4K counter, which can be pretty impactful too. So it's an okay card. I think it's fine for adding it to the deck for just like a higher version of Gordon or Raise Max. Sometimes you have an issue spending 2 Dawn for it, but it's usually worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the cool thing is that like it's a known thing that like 6Ks just can't stick on the board and it can't survive against red purple law. But this literally just says no. I'm gonna be able to remove a 7K or be able to swing into something pretty big like a Gecko Moria. And,
Yeah.
capitalize on that. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and also if we're like 2 or less life, there's some times where like this can get rid of a Rebecca and then something else, right? Because you can give the -4 to something and then Rebecca's already a 0. This deck doesn't necessarily have an issue getting rid of Rebecca, but it does have an issue removing 2 things at once.
Yeah.
So being able to use this Fire Fist, get rid of something, and then -3, or get a -3 Dawn to get rid of the other card, it could be a good 2 for 1.
Yeah. So 2 or less life against Sakazuki, popping the Rebecca, getting something out that is 7K is pretty cool. But overall, pretty cool. We talked about it before on stream where Red Purple Law got some new tools and cool things through Raiju and as well as Spawn Clay and Kid and Killer, and just showcased to a second place finish. Pretty cool.
Yep, definitely a very strong run, and congratulations to Justin for their second place there.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Let's go to our next one. So going into the top 8, we did have Aidan here with their Star Deck 10 Luffy. Definitely one that was super fun to watch. We were able to watch Aidan a couple times this weekend, and
got a very cool clip on my Twitter.
Yeah, you sure do. Yeah, and retweeted on my Twitter.
Oh, I don't remember that part. I don't remember that.
There's a little bit of lesser quality on that one, right?
Yes, yeah, pretty much. I think so. I think he did really cool, or really a really good job to show like, hey, this leader is still competitive. It's still doing something. It got the new tool in Bonclay. It still has its old tools with Edward.Newgate, 10-drop Luffy, and hey, throwback to the king. So which we did see on the field. So
yeah, I think most people would kind of go for Poly just because it is like ramping and get the removal. But
yeah,
I do like King. You're able to get removal, but also against like Red Purple Law specifically, it's a little bit harder to remove. It's also a 6 cost instead of a 5 cost, which is harder to remove from like Sakazuki or Moria. So I think all those work. I think it's a little bit maddening, like 3 copies of 10 cost Luffy, right? That is, I'm sure there are games that you were not able to see it because of that, but the games we watched were not those. You always
no. He had them every single time. I mean, like we're capitalizing on the good stuff, like the Zoros and the kids of the world, and still teching in for the format, like the Nico Robbins and the Diable Jamble, and which definitely came in clutch to close out those games that we watched. So
yeah, and I think I could be wrong. I think this is teched a little bit for Red Purple Law. Specifically, we have the removal with King, which is great, but also like the Useless Kid. If we have a 7K leader, they are going to have a hard time getting that. Putting 2 Dawn on something outside of the 4 cost Kid Killers. So I think that's really strong for the deck, obviously, and then Useless Kid into Newgate, being a 9K leader, that's pretty rough for a lot of decks too.
Very, very funny against Sakazuki because it's like, I'm going to put this 7K and you're probably not going to be swinging at me.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and just use all that Dawn to remove it. I'm going to immediately now put out my 9-drop, and it's just have fun because you're not going to touch me, and I'm going to have some pain waiting for you. So pretty cool. Very, very, very cool. Just a cool leader, man. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, it looks kind of bad on the surface, but it pops up every once in a while. And big congratulations to Aidan for the top 8 and getting a serial Shanks with this too. Very, very cool.
Oh yeah, you did get one of those, huh?
Yes, sure did. So next up, though, we'll go to our next one. Is Newgate, our other 6K leader in this game.
Yep.
Maybe the more traditional one, or at least the more present one in this last year. So
it's very enticing to play a leader that just draws you so many cards for one, and being a 6 card or 6 life leader. Like, sure, you take one at the end of the turn, sure, but in comparison to like Red Purple Luffy, you just get so many benefits. And now going against a lot of the format where you can just push out all these rush cards. So the 4 of Luffy, which is crazy, 4 of Ace, and now the Kid Killer. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, and so this is Jonathan's list here. No, Jonathan's playing a lot of Newgate, even past its prime, right? And some people say the prime is still a little bit here. It did win last week. Top 8 is really admirable for another 1,000+ person event here. And the big difference for this one is that there's no 9-drop Newgate in this build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a difference from the red purple Luffy. You know, I've actually tried a build like this, but I threw in like Zoro and stuff like that. I think these ratios are good though.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense like why they're taking their life pretty quickly, because we were saying that like, why are you doing this? Why are you taking it easy? And the reason is end game doesn't exist if we finish the game, right?
Pretty much, and we're not playing for 9-drop Newgate if we don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense like why we have room for the buggies as well, which, you know, just a draw, easy to buff this one, get some damage.
Yep.
And in a meta where there's so much 4-life leaders, being able to just put the pressure on there, ask them for so many like 2K checks and everything else. I think it's a good meta call too.
Honestly, man, like I want to ask him how many times Jet Pistol came up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, did we ever activate it from life because we are taking Summoners Life and we're just like taking only 6K swings? And do we ever pay 4 for it? But yeah, I mean, obviously Fire Fist is always going to be live too. So pretty funny in the small, obscure removal that this deck has too.
Yeah, no doubt. With the ratios and stuff, caught a lot of people off guard who were expecting more of like the middle grind game with the 9-drops. Again, if you're thinking that's going to go late and it goes a lot earlier, then it's going to shock you, right?
It's like, wow, I just lost in turn 4 or 5. Or like what is happening?
For sure.
Cool.
So, anyway, this is Jonathan again. Congrats to their top 8 and with the serial Luffy finish too. So big congrats. All right, next up we've got Gecko Moria. We did have a good amount of Gecko Morias. We're going to focus on Alex's build. So Alex did go undefeated in Swiss, so went 10-0 on day 1, and then I believe finished 2 more. I think he won his first match and then lost in top 16. But yeah, this is their build here. Pretty standard. That's the long short of it, right? Pretty standard build for the deck, right?
Nothing too crazy that's popping out here. I think there's a Hina crowd and a non-Hina crowd.
Yep.
Pretty much it, right? Like that's all I really hear about Gecko when it comes to building like that.
Yeah, I think Rebecca Hina is a decision point. It's obviously Moria with Rebecca seems strong. In this deck specifically, it's a little bit trickier to get the value from it though.
Yeah.
I do want to do like my personal build has been adding like Morias as well, because that's sneakily getting value, like Moria, Rebecca, Helmeppo, and then you play the Brook from Light or from Crash.
Sure.
You get removal of a 4 less with that, and like the wide board. So, but I think Gecko's still really good. It's going to be probably the premier blacklist going into OP07 and that last week of OP06 with the restriction list in tax. So we are going to be missing the Greater Repsons from that, of course, but it's going to be interesting to see how this deck does as we move forward too.
Yeah, OP07 is going to be able to kind of offer a little bit of a different experience with Rob Lucci as well.
Yes.
So, it's going to be kind of a decision point for people who have been playing Gecko or have been playing Sakazuki as well, because, there's going to be a little bit of a transition there. So I think overall, we've seen it lists. We've seen, multiple Geckos top and even win events, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Here and as well as overseas. So I am happy to see it. I like the deck. It's not that crazy. I think the only thing that's really pushing the deck as far as being overtuned, since we are talking about ban lists and stuff like that, is the 8-drop, and that's literally it.
Yeah,
that's
but every black deck gets access to that, right? So that's it's fair, right? It's balanced.
Yes, even Perona has access to it. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So, anyways, there is Alex's build, and congratulations to their top 16 finish on that one. Let's move over to our Enel list next, which this is Joshua's build of it here. They were the 4th seed, getting X1 with it. And I remember I was looking at this build, I'm like, what is going on? What a build.
This is a pretty crazy list.
Yeah. When
you really look at it. Like, sure, we have, like, Shirahoshi, which, again, kind of a decision point for some people.
Yeah.
We have 4 of the 7-cost Enel.
Yeah.
And that's because we have 4 of the I'm a God / what's the other?
Call me. Did someone say Kami?
Someone said Kami. Yeah. So, and then we have Upper Yard, which for those who don't know.
I had to reread this card because I've never seen it played.
It's like, those who don't know, this is what it does. It looks at the top 5, gets the Sky Island, adds it to your hand. So, it's just a searcher. It doesn't even have a trigger.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that kind of turned me off on this card. Like, sure, you have you have the searchability of Amaru,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as Shura. Obviously, you get another one. Reject obviously is another one.
Yeah.
Raigo, which we're only playing 2 of, so I guess maybe these searchers help. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Super different.
If I was to guess the reason for this card too, because it bottom decks it too, it doesn't put in trash. But just we have so many specific combos with did someone say Kami and our Russian L. Like we just want to see that more often.
Yes.
We also have like cycle cards from Shira Hoshi as well.
Yeah.
Technically, Enel's list lets us cycle, or leader effect lets us cycle one, which means we can play with more bricks than usual.
Yes.
But just really interesting tech from that one.
Yes, I do agree with that. But we are playing the other traditional stuff with Yamato at 4 and then Gadatsu at 4. I don't know how relevant Gadatsu is becoming, but it still can remove something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but
It's just not as good with so many 4-life leaders, right?
Yes.
That's like the trade-off.
I think that's the biggest point to make.
Yeah.
But,
But yeah,
cool.
really unique list. We did have 3 now. They all unfortunately lost their first round, so wasn't able to crack into that top 16. But this is Joshua's list, so congratulations to him and the rest of our NL players as well.
For sure, yeah.
All right, next up we got 2 copies of Star Deck 13 Luffy. We have Eric's list here as well as Tass's.
What if I do this?
There
what if I
it
do
is.
this?
Oh.
What if I do this?
He's got the magic fingers.
Whoa.
But obviously not a lot of diversity for how this leader works. It's pretty understood. I think the bigger issue, or not the bigger decision point, is how you play this.
Yes.
How you play your matchups, and it's really dependent on that one. So I really don't have to say I like this deck. I think it's going to be well in OP07 as well. And it really just depends on people being able to interact with this 5/6 Sabo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super big core of the deck, just because it just allows you to filter through, find your pieces. If you are getting quote unquote starved, it can come back over and over again unless you're going against something like Sakazuki and as well as Reparable Law.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's just the backbone of the deck, and then we just move into Ace. We saw it on the stream with double Ace with Gecko Moria and as well as etc. And yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is 5-cost Sabo is like a hit or miss for me. That's pretty much it.
The yellow one, yes.
Not
the black one.
The yellow 5-cost Sabo. Yes,
of course.
That one. Yes. But it is searchable. It is playable because of your leader effect. You just want to get down to 0, and it's removal.
Yeah, you need some removal. I think. I think it's going to be 5-cost Luffy on the other side in the next set, but
yes,
we'll look at that. And if we're able to look at Tass's list real quick, big difference is the 4-cost Kuzan. And you'll notice we don't really have any removal cards to go hand in hand with this, but there's just so many matchups where you're like, I have 4 extra energy to burn. Let's draw a card. Let's put another body on board.
Sure.
It can technically work with Sabo as well. So don't dislike the card. It's just like a good cycle card, and you can even play it off Moria if you need just like the tempo play. If you're playing more defensive on 8 Dawn, you're not going to have a lot of cards available for you to play, for advantage. So I don't mind it from that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting ad. I'm sure people have looked through all of the black pool to see what we kind of things we can add to Black Yellow Luffy, and Kuzan kind of adds to that list of being able to play off Gecko like we were talking about, and it's just as well as just a cycle through the going second curve. So
yeah,
it's an interesting ad, like I said. Would like to see more removal, but obviously it's just not going to work out.
Yeah, not until next set. Yeah, for sure. But I do think there's some people just kind of try to starve you from life, and if you do that, you can just get value from Moria. And so if you played Sabo the turn before, discard a Kuzan, and then your Moria just plays out like a 1-drop Garp and the 4-drop Kuzan to get another draw 2. You get a lot of advantage from that. So it kind of punishes players trying to play slow because you can get some advantage otherwise.
True. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
So,
but shout out to them.
Yep, that's Eric and Tass's build. Congrats for their their black yellow Luffy. But now we'll go to our other singletons with our yellow purple Croc and Perona right after this. But this is Joel's build here. Super cool build. I'm really happy to see this get a top 32.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting some craziness, but honestly, pretty solid list. Just because we are playing the top end that we do expect, which is the Lin category, Crocodile, Yamato. And we do have a little bit of help throughout the early and mid game. We have now the new support of Miss All Sunday and EBO1.
Miss Wednesday, but yes.
You know what's funny? I was looking at Miss All Sunday and then I clicked on her.
Yes, you did.
And Miss Wednesday is now allows you to basically have that free ramp on your opponent's attacks. It's a little 4K blocker. It is a 3 cost, but
also it's opponent's attack once per turn. You can use the effect without blocking. It's not on block.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
it's actually pretty strong. You can get some potential extra ramp with it, which is really cool. And it's a solid card for this deck.
Yeah, I mean, just overall, like when you really look at the list, it pretty much gives you options for both going first and second, with Kikunojo going second, Bonclay going second.
Yeah.
Obviously, Miss All Sunday now is allowing you to go first and get that ramp in order to just continuously play these 8-cost Crocs and Yamato. And we saw him play in the way of like, okay, keep giving me those cards out of life, keep giving me these triggers for Kikunojo and Beige and whatever it may be. So, pretty cool and just honestly just really awesome to see that kind of run.
Yep. And for again anyone, please read this card. Please understand how this works.
I was gonna say that for last, but
We're closing in.
Yeah.
It is a matchup dependent. Shouts to the opponents. I'm not trying to call anyone out either when saying this, but you will probably see more people play this deck in the next couple of weeks because it topped and people want to try it out.
Sure.
Make sure you know how this card works.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
It's very major for sneak and win sometimes.
Read that trigger, right? Read that trigger. Don't nothing else.
Draw
to
2.
read.
Done.
Draw
Easy.
2. Free. Open. Done. No. Yeah. Counter, and it just chooses one other of your characters, which of course we're talking about the top end is going to be one of those.
Could even be Kikunojo though, so you get the redirect and the heal. Like,
right, exactly.
Very good combos with it.
Yeah, so being able to do that on KO effect and forcing that to happen is really good, and just presents really weird situations for your opponent. So very cool list. Awesome run.
Yeah, congrats to Joel.
Just crazy match.
I'm pretty sure this is the only, and probably will be the only, Yellow Purple Croc who finished in at least North America for this format, which is really cool. So, and until next month or later this month, the OP06.5 or whatever.
Sure, maybe
whatever you want to call it.
This will pop up in.
Oh
that
yeah,
format.
100%. 15 out of 16.
I'm gonna move on. Next.
All right, it's our last one. It's Perona, and Perona's actually been getting a lot more views in OP07 and OP08. There have been some like Wano builds and other builds for it, so I would think that means that people are re-examining it in this meta. It's a really neat leader. It's pretty unique in a lot of ways, and sometimes it's just like a worse version of like either Sakazuki or Moria, but worse versions of those decks are still very good, right?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. Yeah. I think OP07 introduces Bonnie, right?
Yes.
So, when we're looking at green options, I think that's going to be a really, really good one. But Perona is still going to get some love. And, in this format, it's just a little bit weird because all the stuff that you want to play between the Borsellino and the Kuzan and now the Brook and all the 4 and 5 costs like the Ryuma and as well as X-Drake just kind of gets removed. So that means you kind of have to lean on your 10-drop Dofis, which in a lot of different scenarios, which one of the ones that we watched ended up being that way, presents it to be a win. You just literally put out 1 or 2 different Dofis and you just end up winning.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit off meta deck, so people might not know what it works. I will say the worst thing about Perona is it's very polarized about wanting to go second. If someone takes second away from you, it's a very uphill battle. Yeah, it's a little bit tough for you, and based on my own experience. But I think you have a lot of removal, a lot of interaction, and the only other thing I'd say is that compared to the other decks like Moria and Sakazuki, it's a little bit tougher or more expensive to set up your trash, which is unfortunate if you want to try to play Moria on curve.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the traditional things like Brand New as well as Sabo, but like literally every other black deck has that too. So
yeah, but on their leader too, like like Sakazuki for free, obviously free cycle. Moria, you're definitely discarding 1 to do your leader effect. So
exactly, it's just more difficult on Perona's end, but you still have the pretty cool option to rest things and use Ryuma or X-Drake to do that. You have Doflamingo to go with that. So, there's some plays here and there, and obviously Kuzan will be able to reduce things and keep things rested too. So,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I like Perona a lot.
Cool.
I play a good amount. I'm happy to see it top in this event, and looking forward to seeing if it's able to pop back up in OP07 as well.
Me too. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm happy that we have some, like I said, variety
Yeah.
in Yellow Pepper Croc and Perona, because we just didn't expect that to happen in such a
No.
large event. And overall, very, very happy that all these players had some success.
For sure. So that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you guys very much for watching this and the stream. Thank you to Core TCG for running the event and just making it super great as always. Brian for being here and like just hanging out with me for 2 days. I know that's a struggle. And if you guys want any of the deck lists, they're on Eggman events right now, and you can check out the live streams too if you want to. So that's going to be it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.